All right, welcome everyone, Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for Orb on the Movements of the Earth, episode 24.
Just killed off, like, everybody, show.
Yeah.
Like, the show's almost over, and now you're introducing us to a whole new character.
Yeah, we rinsed the cast, and we're starting over again. Humanity continues forth.
Yep.
Just the same as it always has. I really feel for everybody. Even you, Father Anthony, a little bit. Tiny bit.
Yeah.
But, the last episode was phenomenal television.
Beautiful. Gorgeous.
Like, beautiful.
Incredible. Yeah.
Perfect. Now, we just have to keep going.
Right.
It'll be okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it'll be fine now because, well, we don't have a villain in this story anymore.
No, the villain appears to be fear now. Because,
Yeah.
Albert, why do you hate academia? Or why do you consider academia evil?
Right.
Because of ambition? Ambition is evil?
It's like, okay, that's fair.
That's pretty,
Yeah.
That's pretty, very enlightened of you.
Yeah.
Like,
but
just
also,
be like, hey, happy making bread. More power to you, man.
but you still got that astrolabe.
Yeah, what's the deal with the astrolabe then?
Like,
was this
that's-
some kind of inherited thing potentially? Now, I did go back and check. There is an astrolabe in this story before this, because obviously we're talking about, astronomy.
Yep.
But no, the one I was thinking of was Count Piast's like magnificent
gold.
golden one that
Yeah.
was like a precious, heirloom.
This does not appear to
This does not appear to be one of those kinds of things.
If it somehow was, then that would be even more impressive that you haven't gotten rid of it because you're like, I'm not going to use it, and also, maybe sell that in that case. But how did you get your hands on that, and what's the whole deal there? And
Yeah. What part of the kid maybe inside you that looked up in the sky and in wonder maybe died somewhere along the road to adulthood? I'm excited to know your backstory, especially if they can somehow figure that out in 2 episodes, which I'm sure they can. But
yeah.
So, y'all, without further ado, let's get into this.
じゃあなんでアストロラーベを捨てねえんだお前の数値に合わせてパンを焼くと言ったが実は嘘だ
Oh.
Really?
細やかな配合ふるいのかけ方で味は変わる
Huh.
Okay.
特にバレねえように値段よりいいものを出そうとしてる
Well.
パンを焼くのが好きだからだもちろん食ってもらうのもだがなお前はそうじゃないだろう
Oh.
生活さえできれば十分満足そりゃ最低の嘘だぜ俺にじゃなく自分についてる
Whoa. This guy's gonna destroy this kid's whole life philosophy.
他のいつかの賢人のソクラテスだかアリストなん
Aristo something.
Okay.
全ての門にはアレテがある
Arete.
自分の得意なこと自分にしかできない
Whoa.
Okay.
その賢人たち曰く人間のアレテは考えること
Yeah.
俺のアレテはパンを焼くことだ
Yours is
reasoned.
not.
You've reasoned that that is yours. Yeah.
人は自分の特性を生かしている時が一番幸福だと
Delighting is an active thing. Right. Not just doing the thing, but delighting in it. Interesting.
若いうちくらい浸れ誰も文句はねえよでもいや今のはちょっと違うな
Yeah, that's not always the case. Yeah.
あとは任せる
This turned into a lecture rather than a conversation. And I'm sure this kid is very grateful for the care, but now he's like, I've got to think. Whoa. Whoa. Oh my god. Oh my god. I already am emotionally invested.
Right.
This is the power of anime, y'all. Yep.
That was quick and to the point.
Uh-huh. Yeah. They're all gone.
Before.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah. And even Nova has his place in there. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I don't think I've ever had an anime OP that was so entirely comprised of dead characters.
Yeah. Whoa.
Not damaged. All right, who are we going to see?
すいません。
Oh, is it actively in confession right now? Or hearing a confession? Oh.
ようこそ国会室へ。
Ah.
私はここの司祭。
I love that we don't get to see their face because it's starting here.
Yeah.
いわゆる許しの筆跡ですか。でもこんな個室でやるの見たことないですが。
ええ、新しいと思います。
No, wait. Wait.
Wow. Okay.
いや僕はここにパンを食べに来ただけで
Right, right.
遠慮せずに。
正直全然信用はできないですが。
悲しい驚きです。
Uh.
でも確かに
Oh.
Help me test it out.
Yeah, yeah.
大学へ行けと言われたことですかね。
行きたくないのですか。
端的に言って知りたいって欲望はクソだ。
What? What?
そういうには何かわけ。
Yeah, what's the...
一人で言いにくいのなら、後で私も誰にも打ち明けてない悩みを告白します。
Okay.
だからあなたも話してみては。
Yeah, in a lot of ways, yeah, processing out and talking about something like this is actually where a confessional booth is rather nice. You just
Oh
get
yeah.
to...
It's like early on therapy.
Right, right. Pretty, crummy, rudimentary example, but
Yeah.
it's something. I also just love the idea that it was just some kooky priest's idea for like
Right,
the first
yeah.
time to be like, hey, what if we had a little box? Okay,
Yeah.
let him cook,
母は僕が幼い頃
She had a ponytail. Yeah. A side ponytail at that, too.
Oh yeah. Stood no chance.
その幼少期に何かが。
He took me to his basement and showed me a picture of the outside world.
学ぶのを重んじる人でした。
Oh,
Okay.
learning and...
一人一人が賢くなり協力すればきっといつか誰も苦しまずみんなが豊かに暮らせる日が来る。
Dang. Very noble goal for education.
And this was the
Yeah.
ambition that got him killed.
あの時の父はそれが全ての元凶になるなんて想像もしてなかったでしょう。それからアストロラーベまで家に
Oh.
毎晩観測記録まがいのことをしてた。
天体観測が好きだったのですか。
あの頃は取りつかれたように夜空を見てた。
Practically obsessed.
北に真上にずっと動かない星があるんです。
そうか。それは北極星という星だ。
That's gotta be so cool.
Yeah.
例えばあの星は動かない。
Yeah. Little mental exercise.
知るとき非常に
Right.
このように発見は何かの役に立って初めて意
Oh. Oh. He's already changed his perspective a little bit.
Yeah.
何が知りたい。
Oh. Huh?
What?
何って
Yeah, I just want to know things. Yeah. Oh no, his wonder's about to be killed right here.
山ほど知りたいです。
ではなぜ知りたい。
それはわかりません。
I'm curious.
It feels, yeah, it's a feeling. It's something here. Yeah. Oh.
この先何かを学ぶとき、知りたいと感じたとき、疑うのだ。自分の知識も世界の常識も
Oh. Okay.
世界を決定的に変えてしまう
Why?
取り返しのつかない。
I feel
No,
like I don't understand where this is coming from the dad.
self-doubt is an important thing.
それでも学びたいと願うなら、お前に特別に家庭教師をつけよう。
本当ですか？
And so you'll learn specific things.
そうして僕は出会ったんです。先生に。
No way.
ラファウ先生だ。
What?
No way.
What?
No way.
Hang on now, show. You can't just do that.
惜しいね。ちょっと難しかったかな。
What?
よし。
But how does...
じゃあ一旦休憩しようか。部屋にアストロラーベがあったけど。星を見るのかい？はい。
This must have been, yeah, before. Yeah.
But,
It's just, you know.
愛してる。
Yeah.
yeah, and he's being what Hubert was to him.
少々特殊でね。親がいなかったんだ。
Wow.
But he looks older than 12 here. Maybe it's just because the kid is really young.
ある時眺めてたらふと気づいたんだ。僕たちの住んでる世界の外が存在することに、それを知るために生きようと思ったね。
Yeah, about that living on thing.
Yeah.
というか、僕のつけてる記録は何の目的もなくて、
Who said that?
人を助けるわけじゃないし、信仰の役にも立たない。
では、なんで毎日記録を？
Yeah.
それがわからなくて。
アルベルト君、あのいて座を見てごらん。
Uh-huh.
いて座。
じゃあ、指を折ってくれ。
Follow my finger. Yeah.
Oh,
This is
cool.
what he does now.
And that's how he started doing it. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
どうだい？弓を持つケンタウロスに見えなくもないだろう。
すいません。
No, it's all good.
で
Yeah.
も形は覚えやすくなったろ。
Hey, there you go. That's a reason. That's a purpose.
すると、今まで見えてなかった。
Right. Right. It might not have any use now,
Right.
but that doesn't mean it won't ever.
Yeah, it's just that you can't necessarily see it.
僕らの理性はどうなってるんだろうね。
It is wild to think.
ギリシャで星座と神話が結
We attach story and narrative and connections to things so that it's easier for us to understand and relate to.
賢者とは探求者だ。どんな苦難にも折れず、普遍的な真理に情熱的に迫ろうとする。夜空を見ると感じるだろう。
It's the infinite.
Oh.
Yeah, there's the wow.
知的探求の原始にある脅威。
Okay.
簡単に言い換えると、
Yes.
この世の美しさにしびれる肉体のこと。神がこの世界を作り、人はそれを知りたいと願った。これ以上に尊い欲望を僕は知らない。
Right. It doesn't have to have any other goal or point other than you desire to understand it. Yes.
And you will.
自分のやってることが何の役に立つかわからない。僕は今から極めて
Yes. Let's go, Rafal. Let's go.
知の探求が人や社会の役に立たなければいけないなんてはず。
That in itself is quite selfish
Yeah.
nonsense. Yeah, yeah.
知りたいからやる。それだけだよ。
This is incredible. Tying Rafal into this.
Yeah.
信じろ。
Whoa.
自分
Whoa.
の直感を。
Sure.
この世の美しさを。話しすぎたね。
And then this person that came in
次の勉強
and changed your life
次は大数だ。
probably died in the next couple months.
もしよかったら今度教えてもらえませんか？
He's voracious now.
あ、もちろん。
And then there wasn't a next time.
Yeah.
目覚ましい。
Now we gotta build up to that, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
お手の物じゃないか。
先生の話を聞いて、数の操り方を知れば宇宙の神秘にまで迫れるとし。
Okay.
Yeah, you could say that in some ways his intelligence came because of his desire.
Yeah.
とした集まりがあるんだ。同じ志を持った者が集う。そこでは分野を問わず、さまざまな議論や意見交換が行われる。大声では言えないような危険な思考実験も提案できる。君はとても若いけど、資質は十分に見える。会に参加してみないかい？
Is this gonna get his dad killed by
Yeah,
like
Yeah, I
association?
think so, yeah. Well, also if Rafal dies too.
I'll tell your father too. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Wow.
ブラフマグプタが起こした革新的な事件は何と言
サーブ・アル・ジャブル・ワル・ムカーバラの翻訳を読んだのだ。
That'd be
Fascinating.
mind blowing.
Ah, he's filled with
Okay.
Thaumazein at that point.
All right.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We got Rafal.
We got Rafal.
I was like, I'm really excited for the backstory because I
Yeah.
thought I'd be like more emotionally connected to the kid. We got that, but we also are like, no. Were you paying attention to the year that they gave in the episode before this? I guess I wasn't. Because
Yeah, clearly
holy shit.
not.
Like,
That's-
or even if we were, that's older Albert. So now we're going back to the point where, okay.
And the idea
he's-
that So
he was tutored by Raval.
yeah, and so on the one hand, there's that part of me that's like that resisted the idea of this at the start because I'm like, well, hang on. One of the big parts about the beginning of the show is that how quickly Rafal was caught, right?
Yes.
As soon as he starts going into all the stuff, but that doesn't mean that that's actually where this is, right? This could be before Hubert shows up, right?
Yeah.
And he was a genius, and all that stuff.
He was absolutely a polymath. He was the kind of genius who was really good at many different subjects and had the capacity to then pick up everything with astronomy and stuff once he has interest in it.
Exactly. And so then the idea that if you were wanting a tutor that also is like economically reasonable for someone of a lower station, you get like some whiz student, and be like, hey, can you come in and teach my kids some stuff?
Right, and it's also the kind of thing where specifically Rafal being like a teenager, like 13 or 14 or something, he would get actually some kind of payment for this.
Oh,
Like,
sure.
He's of a working age for this time, basically,
Right.
where they would be like, oh yeah, absolutely. Bring him in. And I think what's happened so far with regards to Albert's father is that because he ended up getting educated, they elevated themselves a bit beyond the farmer situation to where they now have tons of books and are potentially even their lead.
Like quite well off.
Yeah, their lead like educator for this area or something like
Yep.
that. So they could be actually getting a decent amount of money to where Rafal being hired is not necessarily an economic thing, but more of like we need a young tutor so that they'll be able to connect with my son like in an empathetic, peer kind of level, but also have them be intelligent enough to where they will be catapulting my son incredibly into for forward thinking and intelligence and stuff.
And I love that the whole situation with the dad of like, oh yeah, learning is great, but then like putting a damper on it and immediately like bringing all of this extra baggage basically to the idea of learning. And that it wasn't, as far as what we've seen so far, it's not really relevant to the plot necessarily, right?
It probably will become in a second when Rafal, dies.
Yeah, exactly. But, for now it's just not everyone's going to be a great parent, No,
and even if you try to go devil's advocate for the dad and go, well, there is an element of where if you're going to be scientific, you don't want to just believe. You want to actually question your own stuff.
Oh, absolutely.
Because you can end up falling into confirmation bias, which is where the church's shit actually goes in general.
Yep.
So having there be even a devil's advocate interpretation of this where he's like, no, you should practice self-doubt, that's not the way that he actually communicates this. Now, this is obviously the kid remembering this, him remembering this as a kid and stuff, and his dad probably used complex words that he didn't understand fully.
Oh, yeah, and the things that a parent thinks they're like drawing attention to is not necessarily going to be the thing that the kid remembers.
Receives,
you know? And that's why, like, the idea of bringing this stuff up, potentially good. Maybe you just wait like a few years so that way, he can fully develop the like feed the fire of learning before then you say, okay.
Right. The intention of the story was basically to showcase an antithesis to what then Rafal would bring in later.
Right.
And that's that if you are going after knowledge, it has to be for a sake that is greater than yourself. Now, we know that based on what Albert took from this is basically that his goal was to basically have the knowledge that we accumulate as those that were peasants might be such that then we can elevate the masses' intelligence to where we can build a world without suffering.
Right.
It is a noble and also impossible goal that he goes towards, and that's what brings him the good graces of all the other people around him, where they're like, wow, what a great motivation.
Yeah.
So selfless. We love it. But that can be a great place to end at. But as for where you start, where you're like, no, I want to just know, why do the stars sparkle?
Yeah.
Why
does that one not move?
Why does that one not move? Oh, no. Someone already thought about that, so it doesn't help if anything that you go in on that. Well, we know that even under the slightest bit of scrutiny that's bullshit.
Oh yeah, like yeah. So on the one hand, there's just the whole thing that Rafal brought up of like, or maybe he didn't even bring it. I can't remember if he brought it up, but the idea
bring it up in World War.
Yeah. That you don't know how something's going to be useful, right? When you learn
true,
it,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
So there's that. Next, there's the whole idea that if you want to actually do something useful, you can't assume that you need to be useful from the start. There is a thing called education where you basically realize that you have limitations and that you're not good enough right now, but you can work on that and improve.
Right.
And if you say that you must be benefiting humanity directly right now with everything that you do, otherwise there's no point to it, well, hey, guess what? You're trying to, play chess only thinking one move ahead, right? Or not even thinking a move ahead. So, that just doesn't work.
The other thing that is just really like frustrating with this here, because it goes into a full circle, is that basically at some point, you have to be able to take theory and, like the dad is saying, break it down and actually like see whether the theory is true, like in an objective sense. There's a lot of things that we act upon that are based entirely in theory. So it is good that you scientifically actually break down something and make sure you're not operating on false principles. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Certainly if you're wanting to
But if you're going to get educated and you're going to believe in the people that say, I did the work to know that this is legit, how do you know?
Yeah.
How do you know? Like, wait a minute. So if that's the case, then you can't educate yourself at all.
Well,
because then the education itself is going to lead you into that point where you then doubt the people that bring in the thing there. And then eventually you'll come into a bunch of those issues where you can't actually advance much in this field because everything is theory.
Yeah, taking it to the practical side of things, what practical good is it to humanity if you say, well, we can't try anything? We can't, we must be 100% sure that this will be helpful.
Right.
No. What? Like that's
anti-science.
Do you have any idea how dumb that is, right?
Yeah. No, I think he doesn't. I think he genuinely believes that, like, unless you're certain that this will be helpful, then don't do anything. Wait, but you just said to doubt.
Yeah. What do you think happened when people first discovered the North Star? Do you think they were like, instantly, yes, I'm looking for a star that doesn't move so that way we can make a map, use the night sky as a map for navigation? No,
they probably worshipped it for a little bit.
Sure, and they're like, oh, that star doesn't move. Neat, weird. Huh, I wonder what we could do with that.
It must be the eye of God.
Is there anything we could do with that? What if we used it as a anchoring point for navigation? Cool, awesome.
Right.
But no, they didn't start with that shit. Like, it's one of those things where I fully believe that this dad exists, right?
It's important that we have a character like this because in a lot of ways, doubt is one of the strongest demotivators for asking the question why.
You can get plenty of suppression of ideas and thought, and free thinking and everything without an inquisitor. Right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so this is the mundane version of that, right?
Right. It's the, hey, we're farmers, so therefore you don't need to ask why do the crops basically change with the seasons and stuff. You just need to know that they do. Well, wait. I'm doing my work. I'm actually, like, contributing. I'm doing my part here. This is my free time. I can do, we're free peasants, he said. I can do whatever I want. I'm going to go and dream about it's such a waste.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I'd love to it's one of those things where if someone comes along and then audited that dad's life, it's like,
oh my God, it's the kind of thing where
it's hypocritical bullshit.
Well, no, it's the kind of scary thing, honestly. The idea that basically looking through your, like, tiny moments and determining them as either a waste or productive or what have you is how you get into really creepy dictatorial governments that basically say, are you a productive member of society?
Are you still an effective team?
Yeah. It's like, oh, okay, well, fuck everything to do with that.
Yeah.
We're not going to go completely opposite to the other end of the ditch here, but we're just going to acknowledge that that's a ditch. That's you're off the path of humanity.
And I think this is the thing that grinds my gears so much about the dad, is that whenever you have someone who says you must always have like self-doubt, right? Good thing to have. And then they speak emphatically and object, and say there is no, like, this is how it is. Like, I'm sorry, but, say that a little slower.
Yep.
Like okay.
Really, like, roll through that here.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah, because you can have self-doubt and you can have Thaumazein. And I love the idea that we brought up this idea of wonder specifically in the same episode where we're bringing up the topic of doubt with regards to questioning things, because it is good to question things.
Yes.
This is somebody who is basically saying you must question everything before you can do anything. But with wonder, this is the part where I love so much about what it posits, in that the question is more important than the answer. It is not important that you, when you are in wonder of a thing, that you immediately go, I need an answer quickly. Because when you do that, then you go into, the North Star is a god, because I can't think of what else it could be.
Yeah, the fact that the North Star can be used for help with navigation, that fact is less important than looking for other North Stars. Right? Like, and that just, and even from the lens of like function being everything, right? R&D, like you need to question, because otherwise you won't get any new info.
So rather than harping constantly about the dad here, the actual story is giving us a really good point here with Rafal, is that when you went to the night sky as a young child and you first felt the stirring in your heart, do you want to know that in that moment you were connected to every single philosopher that's ever existed ever? In that moment you shared the same feelings probably that Socrates and Aristotle something or other had,
Sure. Yeah.
I love that, because it doesn't mean anything that you had that experience. Nah, not really.
Yeah.
Not really.
It's not going to help you farm or anything like that.
No. It has no literal necessary purpose. But it can have profound meaning and feeling attached to it, knowing that you, in this moment here, are feeling a little bit strange as you feel almost in love with the night sky. Like you feel your heart stirring in the way that would be akin to love. And you're like, but nobody else feels this way. And it's like, no, actually.
Maybe a lot of people feel this way.
A lot of people
what they
feel
do
this
with
way
it
and
is,
have felt this way.
What they do with it is, completely going to vary person to person.
Well, but that's the arete part.
Well,
yeah.
right. And exactly. Yeah. The whole bit that the
baker.
The baker.
Bless the baker.
The baker. That conversation was fantastic.
No, it wasn't a conversation. He did just lecture at him and he just basically be like, I'm going to tear down your stupid view.
It started as a conversation.
It did start. That's true.
It started as a conversation. And yes, as often goes with father figures, it then turns into a lecture, right? But I love the way that he kind of cut through all the bullshit, right?
Yeah.
Because it's also the whole thing of, hey, let's be real. You're a grown ass dude right now, like
what are you doing here?
What are you doing? You
don't love this like I do. I love this show.
I love getting my bread.
This is my heart stirring passion.
Yep. It's everything to me.
You clearly enjoy this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
You seem to be content,
the
but
humility
you're not really happy,
right? Like you have a lot of humility. That's fantastic, right? Awesome. But if you think that you will actually be truly satisfied, if you can look me in the eye and say that this is your bliss,
yeah, right?
I'm gonna call bullshit.
Yeah, and this is the thing. We as human beings are not meant to go around judging other people's bliss, basically.
Sure.
You're going to find people whose bliss is watching anime constantly.
Yeah.
But the thing is that literally could be their thing.
Right.
And yet, even if it's not, even if in their heart of hearts it's not their thing, they're not actually blissfully happy with this. It might be the closest thing they found thus far.
Yeah, Was it something where the baker was like, oh, I have, ever since I was a kid, I dreamed about bread? Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Not
no.
necessarily. But maybe it became his thing. He's like, you know what? The satisfaction of a job well done, I like it. I like eating my bread. I like seeing people's faces when they taste it and then they get all happy, right? And so to that end, Albert, you're not like fundamentally wrong with your idea of, hey, maybe this could be mine.
Right.
And that's where it becomes that whole personal journey. But really, learn self-doubt, right?
Ask
Is this actually
questions.
what it is for me?
Yeah, why do you do this?
Because it's not. Like, and this guy can tell it's not.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that in some ways this is where the questions come into a really powerful thing, is that you ask yourself, you reflect, and go, why am I doing this? Well, because I believe that this thing here is not good, and this is the closest thing I can find to kind of staying away from that thing.
Yep.
And it's pretty nice to help people.
Sure.
It's like that's essentially what we got from Albert here.
Yeah.
Is that he has a philosophy that has kept him away from certain things, and thus he's gravitated towards a rather simple, straightforward, serving life,
Yep.
which I think is admirable. I think in a lot of ways that's to be admired. But this guy has spent enough time with Albert to where he's like, but you're kind of stagnant.
Right.
You clearly could move on from this to something else and probably be just as happy in that or more eventually. So why don't you?
Right.
I want to know what it is that's got you to stop questioning things. When did you stop asking the whys?
And the kind of flip side to this that maybe didn't come up because, its narrative, it's going in a particular direction, or because, it was a lecture or whatever, is hey, if you do decide to choose bread, okay, cool. But there's something else in there that's keeping it from being able to be your thing, right? So if you're going to stick with bread, then figure that shit out that's inside of you, so that you can actually be present and fully enjoy this. Because otherwise, there's always going to be some part of you that's dreaming about doing something different.
It's so powerful, and also I think the night sky is a good example of this, because you could look at the night sky and you could see how bright it is.
Sure.
Depending on your environment, I'm obviously assuming you're in an area where you can actually see the stars in the night sky.
Right, low light pollution, all that.
Yeah, all that. Let's say you look up at the night sky. It's rather bright, isn't it? Well, if you actually look at the amount of mass that's just darkness between it,
Okay.
the night sky could actually look pretty scary.
Sure. Yeah, we had that whole thing with Oxy.
Yeah, I think that one of the fascinating points about finding your passion, or about searching and reflecting on oneself, is that when you do that, you can find light, and you can find something rather brilliant and worth looking at. You could end up also looking at it and find out that you're like, oh, there's nothing there. I don't feel comfortable looking into this, and thus I want to avoid it. I think that wonder, the Thaumazein, as they mentioned here, is part of the reason why that's the case, why people have different responses to the idea of reflection, is that for whatever reason, wonder was either wounded, mitigated, suppressed, killed even, within you. Yeah. And this idea of finding wonder and joy in insert fill in the blank here just feels so anathema to you, because it's like, well, no, you haven't practiced this. You haven't actually spent time developing the tools to do this. Because I don't think it's just this kid woke up one day and the stars were suddenly just so beautiful.
No. Well, I mean, circling back to the dad a little bit, it's probably because the dad was able to cultivate an environment where knowledge and education was readily accessible, that he was able to then,
attach value to it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. To enjoy it and to get this passion and everything. Right. And, whereas the dad, it was probably I have to think about strictly the practical, because that's how he got to this point. Right.
Oh, well, right. He needed to.
He kind of defied
out.
His station.
Yeah, he had to get out of the place that he was in. Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly.
And so, yeah, of course, it's going to be something that doesn't make sense to him, right? But that's that's the, your ceiling's their floor, right? Like,
Right,
that's the whole point.
It's the example of basically where a kid can end up seeing someone else doing something that they think is just the coolest stuff ever, and they change their whole life around without even realizing it, as their brain, like, neural pathways line up to being like, I saw an astronaut talking about going and floating in space,
And that just gave
I
my
lost
brain
my dang 7-year-old mind.
Right,
and
right.
now,
It gave me the happy chemicals, and I was just
and
coked
now
out on
for whatever reason,
endorphins.
I wanted to be an astronaut. That dream dies around age 12, but what do you know? You end up being a pilot.
Sure.
I'm actually using kind of someone's actual real story as an example here, but the idea that there's things that inspire you to dream as a young kid that maybe even if you lose the dream, the actual thing that you end up finding your bliss in is still tangentially connected to that thing.
Oh, sure. Yep.
Like, that's fascinating.
And hence the whole thing of like pursue it while you're young. Right, like don't, you're young, you've got all this energy and and all that stuff. Don't keep it all cooped up.
Yeah.
Put it to use
Yeah.
to bring up something of the dads.
Right.
But
Oh my gosh. But yeah, Thaumazein, the wonder of the philosopher. And now we actually go into a place where philosophers gather to basically just ask questions,
exchange ideas, and
well, yeah, even if they're not necessarily going to, like, specifically, I'm trying to spread my philosophy.
yeah, it's not like we're gonna be talking about this thing.
No, it's more the, hey, what other people here find this area of knowledge interesting?
Right.
Like, I heard a bunch of the things that they were bringing up here, and we even heard things like alchemy. We heard like all kinds of other things being brought up here. And it's like, oh, those are the kinds of things that would be doubted upon as useful by the educated of that time.
And in fact, there's so few educated people that the idea of just a congregation of educated people is, a wonder in and of itself, right? Even if it's not specifically talking about any one thing.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, fascinating backstory to basically focus the majority of the episode in the context of a confession booth.
Right. Yeah. The first confession booth, apparently, which, sure, why not? That's fun.
That's fun.
But it's also not the end of the backstory, even though we've got the one episode left. We still didn't get, like, does this guy, did he also stumble across Draka's manuscript? Like what?
We don't know.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Does the priest have that? I don't know.
We'll see.
For a second, I was wondering if they were going to pull some crazy stuff that, like, no, Rafal actually survived somehow, and he's been hiding out as this priest,
We'll see. We'll see. But yeah, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You got an early access there. You can watch full-length timer reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us in the community there about this show, about anime in general. Also, be sure to check out our Twitch channel, see if any of that interests you. We'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all next time.